Hello and welcome to another Women's Network Australia member interview. My name is Sigrid de Kaste. I'm one of the Women's Network Australia ambassadors. And today I'm saying it is your time to shine, Kerryn Powell. Hello, Kerryn.
Hello, Sigrid. Nice to meet you.
Wonderful to have you here. And I am quite excited to find out more about what you are doing when you say that you believe in the power of conversation. You're working with individuals and groups to help them make powerful connections and transform conversations from awkward to awesome. I'm curious, what do you mean by that?
Well, I believe that a lot of people think that networking is purely about going to a networking event. And we constantly have conversations in every aspect of our life. And when we have good conversations, we connect with others on a deeper level. And we are able to connect with them and to contribute our wealth and our wisdom and our experience and whatever, and help influence change and build communities. So a lot of people find that networking is uncomfortable, but I'm here to encourage them that you can have such awesome conversations when you reach beyond yourself and make the effort to deepen the conversation that you're having.
So going deeper, further into speaking with a person that's across from you. So is it predominantly people, do you think, that feel they are more introverted who find it difficult to make a connection or to connect with people on a deeper level? Or can that happen to anyone? What's your...
Yeah, anyone. And when I've spoken at conferences or run events and I ask people to stand up and sit down if they're uncomfortable, probably half the room sit down. And we don't realize that other people are uncomfortable in a situation. And, we all experience it all the time, but there are strategies and tools that you can use to make it easier. And part of it is a mindset thing to recognize that, others feel like you. And if you can help them to feel more comfortable, then you also can benefit. Plus, I also think that introverts are actually great networkers because they listen well. And so, to have a good conversation, you actually don't want to talk all the time. You actually want to listen more than you talk almost.
Yes, you want to hear what is being said, but what is behind the words as well, isn't it? It is what I sometimes think. So when you are out there spreading that message, you do that a lot at events. Kerryn, tell us a bit more about how you get this message to the people that need it.
Sure. So 10 years ago, I started a business community for men and women, and they've predominantly came along to network, and it's turned into an educational based opportunity and a community really for men and women. So Women's Network Australia has been a wonderful support for me to connect with women, but I also believe that we need to connect with all genders because the world is not single category and we don't live in a silo. So I brought together business owners to learn because I needed to learn and grow my business as well. And then I found that people were often uncomfortable and not sure how to start a conversation. And I'd also known that through being a teacher in the past and also building other communities and helping international people move into Melbourne, that you need a network. And, a network gives you so much strength and support. And so, networking is just not about an event. It's a life skill that everybody needs. And the conversations that you have beyond what do you do open so many doors and opportunities for you to find what you need in life and in business.
It reminds me of when networking events, when I have been out there and some people will stand somewhere and they'll just run from one person to the next and hand out business cards and have about 2 or 3 sentences. And by the end of it, they'll say, well, I don't really know who was here. There was nobody here for me. That's not really what networking is at all, is it?
No, not at all. I call that a card swapping event. And feel that you're really better off having 3 or 4 really good conversations and getting to know somebody, because you don't know who they're connected to, how you might be able to help them just by that first "what do you do?" People tend to make an assumption, and it's when you get into, well, why do you actually do that? And what is what drives you to think that way, or how do you contribute to your clients or to the organization that you're working with? Or just, what does success look like? And then you get to know people just on so much deeper level.
People will open up when you ask them about themselves, doesn't it? So really that question, what do you do? Is that a good starter, or is that not such a good starter when you're in a group and you want to get to know the other person?
I don't like it, and we all fall into the trap of using it, but I don't like it. I'd prefer to build rapport first and find out how have you spent the day, or what has been the highlight of your day, something like that. And you can sometimes gauge what it is that the other person does just by the way they respond to you, or you can find something else that you can build on for that conversation and get around to understanding their work, or their profession, or who they like to be connected with. But, building that rapport really is important in the opening, I think.
That's the key to it. So you touched on before briefly, you were in a teaching role, you were a teacher or teaching before. Do you think there are particular backgrounds that are more open for people to engage in conversation on a deeper level, or can anybody learn to do a better communicating setup in networking?
Yeah, I believe everyone can learn, and they should learn. I think, if you need to explore, and conversation is a great way to explore and learn. And for me, I see the world like a big kaleidoscope, and I'm fascinated by people and what they do and why they do it. And we can't do everything in our lives, and there's so many ways to live your life, that having conversations and opening doors and opening your mind is good for you personally and professionally.
Yes, absolutely. And the more you can ask questions and find out things, the more I personally find it makes it easier to ask more. And especially when you are relating to parts of what the person has experienced or is doing in business. Do you find that it is important, the relatability to another person?
Absolutely. And once again, it's very much about that, not making assumptions. So when I started running events, they were actually speed networking events. And then I found that people really weren't having a good conversation. They were just talking at people and really being a bit salesy and not having a conversation. So I created sets of cards that we use to play cards and to draw out the conversation. And we find that once the question is asked, then it leads to something else.
Mm.
And during COVID, because I got sick of talking about lockdown and COVID and whatever, I designed some board games to use the cards as well. And so, at an event, we can bring together a team or a group to learn things about each other. They may have worked together for a long time, or they may think that they know the other person, but there is always more to learn. There's
Yep.
always more.
Yeah, I think there definitely is. So if I was to ask you, can you name one particular thing in the work that you do that is really for you most important?
I like to see the transformation from someone who's feeling underconfident about networking. And, some of our members have said that they had zilch confidence or didn't see the value of networking. And I really like to see their confidence boosted, because it is a life skill. It is something that enables you to communicate with others. And when you're interested, then opportunities open up for you. So it's the transformation from being a bit shy, a bit unable to talk about your business, to being able to talk about what you do and to be able to help solve a problem. I think, my key thing is to get away from this what's in it for me approach to life, to how can I make a difference, and to be open and sharing and helping people to connect with what they need and giving back and giving forward.
Fantastic. And if I was to ask you, what would be a tip you'd give somebody who's really feeling nervous about going out there networking. I've come across a couple recently, a couple of different younger women saying that, yes, I'd love to be out there, but yeah, I'm just too not ready yet. They say, I'm not ready yet. What is your tip to give them on the way?
Sure. Well, there's lots of them, but I think one is, social media and our phones are really a dangerous thing. And you often see people standing in the corner looking at their phone and scrolling about that. So I think it is to be present, to set yourself an intention before you go, even if that intention is, I will talk to 2 people I've never met before, and just pushing yourself out there. And once you've talked to 2 people, then it's like, oh, that perhaps wasn't so bad, or you get involved in the conversation and the time flies. So I think it's about taking the moving away from thinking about yourself and thinking about how could I perhaps help this person, because it's happened to me, Sigrid, where I was at an event and I was actually there with my husband, and I thought, I'll just stand and talk to him tonight. This is good. And I thought, no, I'd made an intention that I was going to talk to 3 new people. And I went over to a lady who was standing by herself and I said, hello, I'm Kerryn Powell. And she said, oh, thank you so much. And she said, I didn't know anybody and I was lonely, like I was uncomfortable. So just, recognizing that other people feel uncomfortable too can really change the whole vibration in the room, and also help you never know what you're going to find out until you open the door to that moment.
That is so true. Now, I like how you're saying, going to an event with intention. Now, for me, of course, the word goal jumped in with a plan, but I like the word intention much better. You're having that intention to do something, and I can vouch for it to stand on the sidelines. And for me, it was always about, what am I going to say? I don't know what to say. And, English being my second language, I always thought, what if I'm going to start stuttering in the middle of it, or I don't know what I'm saying and it doesn't sound, all these things were going on. I love your tip around intention. Going with an intention sounds so powerful and so doable. Now, I want to ask you about the Women's Network Australia. You just mentioned before, it's been a power behind what you're doing, or you've put some power into us. Tell us a bit more about your membership as a member of Women's Network Australia.
Sure. Well, it was probably one of the first events that I went to when I started my business 13 years ago. And I remember it really clearly because I walked into this room where there were 200 women having lunch, and I was absolutely shocked that there were so many other people like me who actually were involved in having a business, because a lot of my friends were sort of, had younger children or were interested in different things. And here I'd found this group of people who were like-minded like me and wanted to build something. And so that was my initial meeting back in at the RACV in Melbourne, actually when Lynette Palmer had WNA. And then a couple of years ago, I went to an event in Melbourne that Cheryl Gray had run. I'd been to some previously, and it was really good to reunite with the group and to meet some new people and to learn what they're doing. And as I said before, the world's such a kaleidoscope, and everybody has got a gift and everybody has wisdom to share. And through the Women's Network Australia, I've met some really inspiring people and been able to connect some other people as well. And I absolutely love to do that, to see my mind's like a little map. Thinking this person needs to meet this person because there's an opportunity there. And I love the fact that there's learning involved, and that women can get together and talk about their challenges and know that there's support there for them.
Fantastic. And I love what you've just said. You've been there since, there was a different, head of the Women's Network Australia. So was I. And what I've discovered is over the time, things change and people coming in and everything moves. Everything is changeable and movable, isn't it? And we are just going with it. And that's the fantastic thing of making real deep connections with people, because you can grow with the group and with the individuals as well. Love it. Absolutely fantastic, Kerryn. Now, you are one of the finalists of the Impact Awards. How did that come about for you?
Oh, well, I saw that the awards were there, and as I said, I believe in contributing, and I part of my mission is to create connection and also to inspire and amplify stories of people doing amazing things, because there's so many good causes out there, and they can't do anything alone. And I see one of the ways that I can help create an impact is bring stories together. So having met some of the women at WNA and then having my own network as well, I was able to connect them where there's been some wonderful results for individuals to grow and to be able to have a platform for their business and for their message. So I met Jude Kingston at the WNA event in Melbourne, and then was able to connect her with Sarah Shams, who actually spoke at a WNA event, and I just felt that creating ripples is really something that I like to do, and it's a way of helping other people to create their own impact in their own way.
I think that is absolutely fantastic, and it certainly speaks for how you are bringing individuals together, going into groups and showing and sharing how to really connect on a deeper level with people by simply, I'm just using the word simply asking questions and listening, rather than just focusing on oneself and what you want to achieve. I think it's that listening. The biggest point I took away is this networking, going to an event with intention. Absolutely love that. Kerryn, I thank you for your time to share your wisdom and to share what you do so more members get to know more about you. What would you give us on the way as a parting word, tip, sentence? What comes to mind for you?
Well, my business is called Your Time Matters because I've been to more than 50 funerals. And when you go to a funeral, the eulogy is all about the relationships that a person has created in their life. And I believe that in our lifetime, we can use our networks to our benefits to learn, grow, and achieve. And so never undervalue the relationships that you're creating, and understand that networking events is only one portion. Having conversations and the quality of the conversations is how you form relationships personally and professionally.
Wonderful. Love it. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing those tips, and really good to have you as a member of Women's Network Australia. We today shine the light on you. Thanks, Kerryn.
Thanks, Sigrid.